Now, this is a potpourri. These are a bunch of pictures that were kind of my favorites. Can you see that all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. This is an experiment with a church steeple for a little church not too far from where we have our cottage up in Door County. So I tried different techniques, and I finally got one that resembles the one on the Moravian church. Let's see.
If you go all the way to the right, a little arrow will appear.
I don't see it yet. I just see
No,
your
keep going.
faces.
Keep going to the right, all the
There
way
we
to the edge. See it there? Yeah.
go. And there is the Moravian church with two by sixes glued together and trimmed down on a table saw. I made two of them just in case somebody else wanted one. So, but they're, oh, and here's the plans. My wife and I went out and measured it all up. She was kind enough to put the numbers on there. I sketched it. Uh, here's the size of the bricks, counted the bricks up, counted different things, and then so there you are. That's the church right there, covered with the what do they call it? The sheeting. You know, this brick material.
Is
Well,
it still?
anyway, there's the pastor and then the bride and groom and a couple of kids in the bushes over here, little outhouse. Highway 10 going off in the distance. Now, one thing that I've tried to do is that whenever we travel around and I fill up the car with gas, I always like to get a postcard, local postcard, and cut out, like the different structures that are pictured in there. That really, like like it really works nicely because they're always so much smaller than like a building like this. So it looks the perspective is forced. I'm looking for that little arrow.
There you go.
Yeah, here's my work train, spikes, level, spike. Here's the NMRA gauge over here. I got another picture of it that's better. Here's the gauge and some other little odds and ends so that, like this thing moves right along as the progress uh, uh, as I progress on, putting the track down because it's all hand laid. There's a project that I worked on. This is for the AP thing for locomotives and drew up, took a picture and put all the dimensions on the different parts so that I could tell, like, and here's the uh, the beginning of it, all the different styrene parts that, and here's the final project. Now I used the Stanton drive to support the whole thing, and there was the bolt or the screw that came out from the Stanton drive. Uh, there's no way I could get in the cab to tighten up that bolt or that nut. So I use this rubber hose to embed the nut in there and reach inside the cab of the little motor. You can see it in there. That was for me, that was an epiphany. I don't know if I'd seen that somebody else do it, but I was sure happy to have that opportunity. It would make a great tool. There it is on the inside. Here's the Stanton Drive inside inside here. Hang on just a second. What? I was hoping she could get me some water. My throat is kind of. Here's this, like reaching in with the wires. There's no way that's going to have sound and all that, but I don't think. Here's another helpful hint that for a long time, everything was scattered around. So these 3-ring binders really work well. In fact, I got the 3-ring binders from one of the kids' parents in my class a long time ago. I went to a hardware store, took a picture. I asked the owner, "Can I take a picture of your shelves?" And I went in there and took a picture and enlarged it and put it inside this building here. And it really worked nicely as far as, like this is how it would have looked. Now this is a Cleveland co-op. What happened? Can you get me some water? So here's the progress on the church. If you got any questions or comments or wisecracks, let me know. Here's that the right angle thing, and these are little tiny magnets that really work nicely for holding things down on that on the. Thank you. On that little goat, I put magnets on the inside on the roof, and also magnets on the inside by the Stanton Drive. That's so I could take I could. So these magnets will hold the roof on, but if I want to take it off, I don't have to try to break a glue joint or something like that. One of the things that I've been working on the limestone quarry, and in my infinite wisdom, I made the thing too deep, so it was really hard to reach. So I put the a serrated knife on the end of a 3-foot long stick. You can see the stick here, and a coarse file. And when I wanted to paint it, I taped with duct tape. I taped on a paintbrush onto the stick. I also have Parkinson's, so it was really tough to reach inside there. This is probably pretty common practice. They got the same little stick and stapled different grade, different coarse sandpaper. And then on the end here, I kind of bevel that a little bit so it has a different angle on it.
Rich, instead of using staples, try glue sometime
All right.
on that sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
I tried staples too one time decades ago, and I did more damage to the turnouts than anything.
Sure. That's a good idea. I like that. Here's one that saved me a lot of fooling around looking. It never fails, like where did I put the NMRA gauge or different, different things. But this NMRA gauge, I took a piece of scrap wood, glued it to a flat, a little bigger piece so it wouldn't tip, and then took a razor saw and sawed a little notch in that wood, and that goes right inside the mill gun, along with all the other stuff. But this has saved me a lot of grief looking for this particular item. For me, that was an epiphany. And the work train also has the bright boy NMR, or the different gauges for the track, and little clip over here, the alligator clip for holding this thing on a hill.
Oh, you just grabbed the track then, huh?
Yeah, you just put it on the rail like this, like in a spot like this.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that works nicely, and it didn't hurt anything. Along with this level here. But it's nice having it all at one place. Here's another good thing. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever thought of that one, but it's nice. I have a little X on here so I can put an X-Acto knife in here, a paintbrush, screwdriver, and anything else for that matter. Here's another thing that took a 4x5 card and put a crease in it here and here like that, and then pinch the corners. And I can put parts in here. I can write down like the colors, like say if I'm working on a particular thing with the different colors, and keep stuff from falling or kind of sliding around. I can put a little piece of tape underneath too to kind of keep that in one place. And here's a tray that if I want to take something upstairs and work it on, this keeps everything in one place. I can put paints over here. I've drilled holes in here so I can put like drills and things, wrenches and pliers and whatnot.
And when you have guests over, you can turn it into a charcuterie tray.
Oh, there you go. Here's my little serrated knife. This is on the long stick and then a paintbrush so I can reach in.
How long is that?
How long is a stick? Well, it's about.
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the blade. How long is the blade?
The blade on this
Yeah.
thing here. This is like a steak knife. Don't tell
Oh.
my wife that I've purloined it.
I promise I won't.
I'm sure she's well aware of it, but still, initially it was purloined because they had a nice serrated edge on here, which cut the styrofoam nicely. And here's another helpful hint: have somebody over that knows what they're doing. Yeah, Fred's the guy's a pro. He does clinics up at the hobby shop on weathering and modifying different kinds of cars and things. But Fred is really good.
He looks familiar. Who is he?
Fred Furcus.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the membership chairman for the Sioux Line Historical. They are so lucky to have him in that position, because, you know, if something needs to get done, he's right there. Now, here's a bunch of pictures I just thought were fun, because this is a
Yeah.
cold storage in Manitowoc, and as soon as I get done with the locomotive certificate, this is my next project. I'm gonna have it about this deep right here. I've got the parts all ready to go, because and the tracks are in place. So this is something I'd like, you know, women would bring to this cold storage, they would bring their fur coats there in the summertime. And I went in there, Don Manlick and I had a tour of it, and they had a big wheel of cheese that was about 5 feet across and about 3 feet tall. And and they would rent it out or loan it out to supermarkets. Here's a building I took a picture of it and I enlarged it, and I'm gonna use that as a stand-in so that I don't have to model. I don't have to model the whole thing.
That would make a good backdrop.
Yeah,
structure. Yeah.
Is that gonna be a shallow relief building?
yeah, probably. I put it on some cardboard or some you know, like the styrofoam cardstock.
Yeah,
So you're right, it was like a stand-in, but it's also, there's some depth to it. Here's the same thing from a different angle. Don Manlick took this one a long time ago. He was taking a picture of the train that was coming down behind it. This is the DeKalb switch engine, DeKalb, Illinois. I had gotten called for that job, and we had to switch out a slaughterhouse that they were slaughtering sheep. And as long as I live, I'll never forget the sound of that. It was horrible. But I just think that's the niftiest little engine. I love that. Here's a picture. A good friend lived next door to the newspaper photographer who had retired shortly, you know, like not long ago. And he had a whole bunch of 4x5 negatives of different things that were going on in Manitowoc. This is obviously in the yard, Calumet Yard. And this is the blowdown platform. You know, they would blow the engine down, and I think that's all the condensation or all the calcium or whatever came out of there.
that's the water treat.
Say what?
That's the water treatment that they use to keep the boiler from scaling
Yeah.
up. That's what
So,
came out of that when they blew it down.
and you can
And-
see a little,
And the mud out of the mud ring.
uh-huh. So. This is west of town here, and all kinds of, many of these buildings are still there. And there was a nifty stone bridge right here in the depot over here. And then somebody not long ago said, "Hey, Rich, I've got this picture of a depot. Could you use it?" And of course, I'm not going to say no to something like that. But this is the Milwaukee Lakeshore and Western before the C&W extended from Manitowoc straight up to Green Bay. Larry Easton was a great source of information and pictures. I called him up and I said, "Larry, would you have happen to have a picture of Cleveland?" And he, probably an hour later, this picture came on my internet. And here's a fan trip. The last fan trip into Manitowoc from Appleton behind Steam. And you can see the old coaling tower in the distance and some of the fans taking pictures of this. But these are all pictures that I got, many of these pictures I got from the photographer. This is like the second depot and facilities in Manitowoc. This is down below where the hospital is now. And I guess in a sense, this is like the third depot, and currently there's another one. It's not the depot, but it was taken over by like a sheltered workshop. Here's a limestone quarry that I model, and this is one of my this is, you know, like all those tools that I use to reach across, and this is what it is. It's this styrofoam scenery. Keep losing that little arrow. There it is. Here's a picture of Forest Junction, and the C&W runs right along here. And this is the Milwaukee Road. And of all the pictures, this is the only one that I've got that doesn't have a steam engine in it. If somebody like flying their airplane over, clicking pictures of, you know, when the steam engines were coming through here. In 1911, the C&W ran their tracks straight up from Manitowoc to Green Bay. And this is one bridge that they did. Don Manlick and I came out there and measured it up, and I made a casting of it. This is dental stone casting. And this arch right here, this was for, you know, vehicles. And this was before cars and trucks and things that had motors in them. And so there was like horse carts and whatnot, and farm carts. And of course, the girls are going back to be milked. But this is dental stone casting. So first time I did this, the mold I made, I had glued all the joints together and all the dental stone kind of piddled out. So I had to make the whole thing all over again. But it was kind of an interesting learning experience. This fence is like sewing thread and little sticks. I still have to put some more trees back here to kind of dress that up. But it was fun. Don Manlick and I went out there and we were measuring that thing up, and the guy that lives over here, he saw us over there and he says, "Hey guys, come on up to the house." And he had a picture of this thing when they were building it.
Oh.
No, this is the limestone quarry, and this gentleman right here, I met his son, and gave me this nifty picture here, and I thought, gee whiz, I wonder if he could motorize this mule here. Trying to find that little arrow. I don't. Just every so often, the little arrow disappears. There you go. Got this from Larry Bond. Larry Bond was a shop teacher here in Manitowoc, and he quit rail fanning when they got rid of the last steam engine on the C&W. He thought, what's the point of it? Kind of tend to agree, but you know, anyway. But this is the Milwaukee Lake Shore and Western coming up from the car ferry. So everything except the critters ran by steam. Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western. Boy, look at the full crew.
Wow.
Look at the coupler here. Another Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western. This is another gem that I got from that guy, the photographer, the newspaper photographer. This is the Lake Michigan is right out here. The river is right over here. The post office is over here like this, and boy, a bunch of activity. This is the building that's the current depot, or this is the depot, and which is currently like a sheltered workshop. But this building right here is like a big grain elevator, and all you need is some dust coming off the like in the building itself, while the dust lit on fire, and you could have seen the fire when this thing burned. You could have seen it all the way across the lake, 80 miles.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Boy, all the traffic. Boy, it'd be fun to turn the clock back, wouldn't it? Now, this is the Manitowoc engineering of the shipyard. And for a while there, they were fixing up steam engines here. And obviously they built submarines up here like this. They built like bulk carriers, and right over here is the excuse me, a cement plant where they took the dug up a bunch of clay that was incorporated and made it into cement. So this is all the tracks that were involved in Manitowoc. They call this, believe it or not, this is called the island, and this is where they did a lot of the construction of the ships and the bulk carriers and submarines during the war. And eventually, rather than having all this kind of circuitous stuff, the railroad straightened it out, and the line ran straight north from Green Bay, or to Green Bay. Rockwell Lime. And the Rockwell Lime, excuse me, they fired the limestone kilns with wood. So they brought in like like gondolas full of wood. Looking for the little arrow. Man, there you go. There's all the wood, the cordwood piled up. Boy, talk bacon. Can you imagine how or the people, like the guys that work there, they're aching backs. Now, somewhere I heard that the limestone, if it got wet, it would get hotter and hotter and eventually start a fire. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a wooden boxcar all burned up and just the frame left over? So I asked the gal that was I said, I want at Rockwell Lime. I asked the lady that was the chemist, is that possible to have a fire starting with the wet lime? And she wrote all that down on here, so that was based in reality. So I bought one of those resin kits, and I've been sanding off the wood part so I could just have like the frame itself. So, and then I'll just have that in the weeds by the Rockwell lime. Then they got so I've got a Walthers or somebody like Walthers made a kit with like little sections of track and, like 2-foot gauge track, not even 2 feet, like what that mule is pulling. So I can put that in the pit. No, keep losing it. Oh, man.
You might be at the end, Rich.
No, I got way more. I got another set of pictures here. I don't know how we fixed for time here. I don't want to go over.
You got about another 25 minutes.
Oh, good. Well, anyway, so when I was 15 years old, the CB&Q had all these different fan trips. And one of the fan trips that the Illinois Railroad, what was it? No, Illinois, it was a tour. And they ran from Chicago out to Colorado to go in 1963 or so on the Rio Grande Western on the CB&Q, different railroads that had steam at the time. And for $133, which back then was a fortune. I thought, wouldn't that be fun? And I asked my folks if I could go, and they said, sure, you can go if you can get the $133, and they weren't about to give it to me. So I was doing everything I could to raise the funds. And then my grandfather, who was my, like he was my benefactor, and he valued travel, and he gave me the rest. And my folks gonna strangle him, man. So here I was at 15 years old, traveling around all by myself or with a group here. At any rate, so this is one of the engines in Durango that was a helper engine. And I had enough spit to ask the engineer, can I ride with you to Coombres? And talk to the fireman, and he said, sure, you can do that.
Wow.
I was right. This is one of the 56 or 4960 fan trips. And 4960 is still running up by the Grand Canyon. Thank goodness for that. $49.60 again. Boy, those trips were terrific. I'd come back, my buddy Bob Strand and I would take these, and we'd be hanging out the baggage car window or door. And we come back, and my folks said, you guys look like a couple of raccoons. This is the fan trip that was the way freight, and they actually did switching along the way.
Wow.
Boy, those were the days. Now, what's wrong with this picture here? In other words, would you see something like this today? Well, all the rail fans are wandering around, climbing on the thing, and here's here's a young fella standing on top, taking a picture off of a covered hopper. And see, would they arrest you now? And here's the conductor. He's just kind of wandering around, chit-chatting with everybody. So what a different time we live in. This is on the way back from Colorado with that Journey to Yesterday trip.
Mm.
If I had waited just another instant, it would have had the engine over here. A little more in the picture, but I had run out of film at this point. This is before they eliminated the extra 4 on there. So now it's 84 44, or not, just 84 4. Boy, was I one lucky kid to be able to do that.
No kidding.
Here's the back shop at the Neurogauge back shop in I can't even think of where it was, but you can see there was dual gauge here.
Mhm.
Boy, can you imagine the days when this thing was busy? All the or the serviceable engines waiting up there for nothing.
Hmm.
This is, I think, Antonito. Now this is Cass Scenic Railroad. This gentleman here used to be a coal miner, and he didn't say boo. I didn't hear anything. I don't hear. He had nothing to say about anything. Well, the gal that was the fireman. Well, I asked her. I said, "Is it possible to ride with you guys up to the top of the mountain?" And she said, "Sure, but just stand right over here, and don't get over here on the platform, because I'll hit you with the shovel, not on purpose." But I told her, I said, I used to work for the railroad, and she said, "Come on up here, but just be careful."
Mhm.
No, that woman just loved that engine. She just loved this whole process. And she said she and her husband came to work on that railroad, the Cass Scenic Railroad. And at one point he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So her reaction to him is, "Have a good life. I love these engines." And she loved the engines more than him. I couldn't believe I heard that, but that's the truth. Have a good life. We'll see you later. These people, those people that work there love these engines. In fact, in the wintertime, they just took them completely apart. And I don't know if they use a toothbrush, but boy, they clean them up something. But they sure love those machines. There she is, scraping down the coal from the bunker.
How long ago was this, Rich?
I'm sorry, what?
How long ago was this?
How long is what?
How long ago did you go to Cass?
Oh, I went with on the Cass. We went out there with what do they call it? It's like a tour group, but it was like Rhodes. It was Rhodes Scholar, and we'd have lectures in the evening, and the next day we'd go get a ride up to the top, and then the next day we'd have a tour of the back shop, and then we go to visit another scenic railroad that had a Heisler, but it was just a great experience.
Yeah. What year was this?
About 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
But they still have this. I see this one advertised every so often with Rhodes Scholar, and it's not like the intellectual Rhodes Scholar. It's like ROAD scholar.
Yeah. I rode to the top with Arnie. Arnie's that one, well, he's retired now, but he was one of their engineers, and he was a character.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't talk a lot either.
Yeah, but this guy here was, but the people that ran this thing just loved it. And if you got a question, they'd give you a lecture on it.
Yeah.
Here's an expansion joint.
Hmm.
Here's our big coal pile. Every so often I lose it. Roll. There it is. What a nifty place. That chaos, everything, all those engines just sparkled. But I think they were just dusty enough that they looked legitimate. Kind of fun to see how they probably test the thickness of the metal.
Mhm.
0.775. Then this is all laid out like that.
Hmm.
This is one of the retired railroaders that they have working there. He volunteers to kind of reshape the tread on the wheels.
Hmm.
They were redoing the flues in one of those locomotives.
Hmm.
This is downtown Chicago Depot, and a couple of people were amazed that we didn't get shagged out of there.
Hmm.
Because it wasn't like Cass where they, hey, you want to ride? Oh, this is in Farmington. This was on that journey to yesterday trip. And I'm sure both of these guys are gone, but the engine's still here. This is the car shop for Rio Grande. It was a Denver Rio Grande Western Railroad at the time. This is not Colorado. This is London. We were in that giant Ferris wheel. So I thought, oh,
Hmm.
they got trains all over the place there. This is not London. This is Georgetown Loop. Georgetown Loop again. I guess they got that engine from South America somewhere. It looks like a steam engine boiler that's boils down to the nuts. I can see why they have a little diesel or a little putt-putt like that. The Manitou, and this is Pikes Peak Railroad. They got this thing all cleaned up, and I think it's not welded to the track, but it's virtually. This is a Royal Gorge. Couple of covered wagons. This is where the Royal Gorge train starts, for at least for us it did. This is the Royal Gorge. No, on that Royal Gorge train, I went and talked to the engineer. I said, hey, listen, I used to work for the railroad. Can I ride with you? And he said, absolutely. So I think what he was doing was looking for some company. And so I mean, you know what that mirror is for? That's for inspecting your train when you go around a curve. You can see if there's any problems with the wheels or the brakes. In fact, you look in that mirror and it's customary to call out all black. All black. In other words, there's no sparks or no fire or anything. But there was a lot of Colorado had a lot of forest fires prior to this, and there you are. There's some more cars burned up. Pretty brutal. They fell down the hill. Boy, looks like a refrigerator car burned up and rolled down. This is that Rhodes Scholar trip out there. They play rough with their equipment. I think this is Antonito, and this is a lot of dual gauge track in here. Just love those little tea kettles. Aren't they? They were so diminutive. It's a couple of years ago, and they got these things all done. I think I saw a picture of it kind of chugging along, all painted real nice. This is a fun trip, and this made my wife Lynn a believer. She enjoyed doing this. Oh, we should do another one of these trips. All right. This is the halfway point on the trip from Antonito to Durango. And there was a big buffet in here for everybody. No, this is in Durango. Excuse me, Silverton. No, it's Durango. And I took a picture through the window. In the first picture, I wiped off the glass because it was all dirty and dusty from all what was going on. And then the guy that was working in here saw me over there and he said, "Wait a second, hold it." And he came over and opened the window. Nowadays, can you imagine that? On any other railroad? Doing their paperwork. Boy, a picture like that takes you back in time. Can't imagine working on that, being the construction people that put that all together. Because that whole valley was precipitous. I'm so envious of that guy having a job like that. Man, this is in Silverton.
Did you get any jerky at Silverton?
Jerky?
Yeah, jerky.
No.
I can't tell you, I think I counted a total of 21 places that sold jerky of
Is that right?
of any sort that you wanted.
Wow.
Yes.
Now
It
you
was-
tell me.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. That and rocks. People like the polished rocks they had out there.
That'd be fun. I like to go back and do that. This the volunteer group cobbled this goose together, and it was like pieces of one vehicle and another, and so they had a loop that this like about this far across, like all the way around, and the people, this is all the riders got to ride in the back here like this. But it had the right sound to it, kind of a chug, 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 chug. This is a Norway. This is a depot in Norway. We were on a tour off of a ship, and so I'm needless to say I missed lunch because I was too busy taking pictures of this stuff here. Everything in Norway is electric because they got all the hydroelectric. Clean as a whistle. You could eat off of anything. This is in Durango. A couple of us got up early in the morning and wandered down, watched them cleaning up the engine to get ready to go to Silverton. I think this is probably one of my favorite pictures of all times. This is in Ireland. I forget the name of this town, but this was on that Rhodes Scholar thing. And this gentleman right here, that was his last day to work there. They had just about finished this Heisler. This is in Berlin. My wife and two sisters and brother-in-laws took a trip to Berlin, to Germany. And the whole thing started in Frankfurt. And I thought, wait a second, Lynn and I could take the train from Berlin to Frankfurt. And it was one of those high-speed trains, like 100 and some miles an hour or something. It was that wasn't a high-speed train, but still it was fun to see. And here we are having a little lunch, and you can see out the window. We are not standing still. They had at the end of each coach like a speedometer, and it was well over 100 miles an hour. Just like on the train here in Manitowoc. This is in Munich, and we were getting on this tram here to go to the beer garden. This is in Dresden, and I guess Dresden was completely, it was the same level as the street here. You could see all the bricks in this building where they reassembled it. And now it's a museum, like an art museum. But yeah. This is Gill's Landing. Yeah. I used to, in the summertime and weekends, or after I retired, I got to be a flagman for the railroad. So they'd send me to different places, and I'd have a radio and a rule book and whatnot. And so I brought my camera along, and they were restoring this bridge here. And so evidently the engineers saw me taking a picture. And the jerk, he called up my boss and say, "Hey, Rich Hanke's taking pictures of our train." Then I got a kind of a snarly reaction from my boss. And I told my boss, I said, "Hey, you know what? I don't need this job." It was so much fun being able to say that. I think so many people would love to be able to say that on the, well, needless to say, well, no, don't quit. I was a little more discreet, but what a lovely spot. I mean, it just demanded a picture. Same thing with this one here. They were restoring the bridge, and this is like some of the material that they're using to Uh, Let me back up one. Well, I was looking for that little arrow. This is Highway 10 between Manitowoc and Appleton. And I knew there was a bridge there, but it was gone at the point when I thought maybe I should model it. So I called Larry Easton, and Larry Easton within an hour had a picture on my computer, so I was able to model that thing. And the only thing that I did wrong, or one of the things, one of the bridge B&B guys says they would always get rid of all the brush and sticks and whatnot, so that when it dried out, it wouldn't start on fire and burn up the bridge. So this should really be just plain like gravel on both sides. I know.
We're about out of time, Rich.
Oh, sorry. Well,
That's all right.
There was one picture.
Yeah.
There you go. Pretend who can tell me what the original origin of this thing is.
MNCNL.
Yep. Yep.
MNCNL.
MNCNL. Good guess, or good call. So, well, thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, good job. I'm glad we
you.
got you going there, and nice work on all the photos and the memories. So thanks everybody for coming tonight. We do not have anybody scheduled for next week, so if you're interested in presenting, just let me know, and we'll see you then. Have a great Thursday.
Okay, have a good week.
Good night.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.